Well, we've had another round of AFCON out of the way, and fair to say it didn't disappoint. What a great round the quarterfinals was. 4 great games, controversial calls, upsets, and yeah, just AFCON, man. Just AFCON, that's all there is. But we'll get into it straight away. So the first match, Senegal and Mali. Now, I predicted Senegal to win this one, 3-1. They didn't win 3-1, but they won, and it was the most sure bet of all of the games at AFCON. Yeah, from the outset, Senegal, you can tell, they're just a class above, and they really showed that with how they dictated play and held on to possession all throughout the game. But watching the game, I will say the scoreline did flatter Mali a bit, but to their credit, like I said, they're very stout defensively, and even going down to 10 men with Yves Bissouma out, they were still able to, stand strong and grind it out to the last minute. Unfortunately, I think Senegal were very wasteful in front of goal. Had they taken their chances, I think the scoreboard would have definitely told the story of the match, but that wasn't the case. And I think at this stage of the competition, you just got to take the wins as they come, whether you're smashing the opposition, whether it's extra time, whether it's penalties, and you advance, that's all that matters. And I think Senegal know they have a lot of work to do, but at the same time, they'll be very confident in their ability and the players that they have. And the next match was Cameroon versus Morocco. Now in this match, I predicted Cameroon to win in a tight one, but yeah, that wasn't the case from start to finish. I don't know if Cameroon didn't come out to play or they were shell-shocked or whatever, but Morocco just bossed them, man. They gave them no time on the ball. Morocco, as I thought they would, they wanted to hold on to possession and just play on their terms, but even when they would lose possession, it's like Cameroon was shell-shocked. They couldn't put 2-3 passes together. They couldn't string 2-3 passes together without losing the ball, and that happened all throughout the match. And I know there was a few controversial calls. Mbumo wasn't given a penalty where Morocco was only up 1-0 in that, but still, I think overall Morocco played a better game and they showed why they're the highest ranked African team at the AFCON. I think Cameroon will look back at this and really wonder what the hell was going on, because that performance was just ordinary. And Morocco, of course, it's in their home country, so they got the crowd behind them, and the crowd was just relentless. But then again, certain players from the Moroccan team were just on one. Ezzedine Ainaoui, I know Diaz gets all the credit, but Ainaoui and Isel Zuli, they were outstanding. And the defense at the back, Agurd and Ben, I forgot the other dude's name. The Moroccan defense at the back is just like a wall, impenetrable. So credit to the team, and they move on. In the third match, we had Algeria and Nigeria. Now this one was another one that I got wrong. I thought Nigeria, despite their attack, their flimsy defense would be their undoing, but that wasn't the case, man. They just bossed Algeria, start to finish. They gave Algeria absolutely nothing, and dominant from the first to the last minute. And whatever quarrels Lookman and Osimhen had before, they put it behind them, and the Super Eagles move on. You got to give credit where credit is due. Osimhen and Lookman and Adams, man, that front line is just dangerous. Especially Osimhen, man. This dude, wow, just like his presence, man. He's just on another level at the moment. And it's not a fluke, because that's how he plays in the Turkish league, man. He's bossing those defenders up. He's showing those defenders up, and he's doing it here at AFCON. So credit to him. And it'd be a shame if Nigeria doesn't qualify for the World Cup, man. A shame, because this team is really good. Algeria, on the other hand, disappointing. Very disappointing, considering how well they played in the group stages and up until this point. They were really good, but again, sometimes you just meet an opponent who's just better than you, and that was the case today. So they'll probably gear up for the World Cup, because it's going to be full on. As for Nigeria, they've got unsettled business, and in their next match against Morocco, it's going to be an absolute blockbuster, which I'll talk about in the next video. So yeah, credit to Nigeria, great win, great performance. In the fourth and final game, we had Egypt versus Ivory Coast. This was another one which I got wrong. I thought Egypt was going to come in as heavy underdogs, and that Ivory Coast were just going to coast through this game easily, 3-0, 3-1 victory, but that wasn't the case. Ivory Coast came out the gates half asleep. Egypt were quick to capitalize. First half goals to Rabia and Marmoush, showed that, the Pharaohs weren't coming to play today, and they're here for business, and it really showed in the end. Ivory Coast were able to jag one back through an own goal close to half time, but I think the game was really lost in the first half, because the second half it looked like Ivory Coast had the ball on their terms more, but then again, by this point Egypt had gone up 3-1 thanks to that goal by Salah, and then from there it was just an uphill climb, and against a formidable team like Egypt, who've got that championship pedigree, who've won it 8 times, 7 times. They know how to win it. They know what to do in these situations. It was always going to be too hard. And to their credit, Ivory Coast were able to jag on back with, I think, 15 minutes to go or something like that. But then again, it was just every time Ivory Coast tried to push forward, Egypt were able to repel. And I think that having everyone behind the ball just made it that much easier for Egypt to hang on to their lead. And I think another aspect was Amad Diallo. He wasn't able to just do as he pleased. Egypt really put an onus on him, and credit to those guys on the left hand side today. They really showed up defensively today and held out one of the most dangerous players at this tournament so far. So credit to Egypt, and they move on versus Senegal.